Hi, good morning, everyone. Now, 11:46. Our class was supposed to start 11:40, but unfortunately, I have no students in the class here, Mayor Hall 112, so far. But anyway, I am recording my lecture and post it. All right. What we will do today, by the way, um, uh, you will have one more homework assignments. So total 6 homework assignments. And for the rest of this semester, uh, not many weeks left, right? I want you to focus on your project. Reason I'm still asking you to do the homework is because the homework has a lot of techniques that you need, okay? And I want you to have not only I want you to implement your iPhone apps not only running locally, but interaction with the remote servers. That is, if you do that, then you will get better grade points. All right, rather than simply some of nice user interface running locally. There's no dynamics, only static. Then it's not much the technology involves. Okay, anyway. This is very, very useful techniques that I'm going to cover today. We're going to use a table view and collection view. What we will do is your iPhone apps can download the JSON from a remote server and display items on table view or collection view. Some of you may see some difference here. The table views is like table views, rows and columns. Usually it has multiple rows, like database rows. Then it can be scrolled vertically. So you can scroll up and down. I have here color-coded table views. Then it can be scrolled vertically. On the other hand, the collection view, which I here pictorialized, collection view is not necessarily in one direction, like horizontal. You may see here horizontal scrolling, but it can do vertically as well. So collection view is more flexibly, then you can set vertical or horizontals. Collection view is good for example, the picture display or image displays, so that it can in one small box, you can display video clips. You can display, for example, food items, menus, so you can scroll vertically. That is a collection view. Table views, you may have, for example, list of the train schedules. Then it is chronologically displayed from top to bottom, from recent train schedule to even further later train schedules. So you can scroll up and down. That is the table views. So a lot of things can be displayed in table views if it has somehow order, right? So chronological order or any type of orders. movie schedule, same thing, right? So we will look at that. At the beginning, as we may know, two the coding modes needs to be chosen between UI kit or Swift UI. Throughout this class, we are working on UI kit. And this is the things that I am asking you to do for your project, for example, the better grade. This is a local device. And it has a database, data models, right? You guys did that all already, one of your homework assignments. By the way, in your homework assignments, you created this, but you guys never get into that MySQLites to populate the data, for example, credential data. If you do not have that, then your access control will not work, right? So anyway, as I graded your homework assignments, I figured that out. So I gave comments on it. If you want to improve yours, please do so and resubmit it. Then you will get the full credits. All right. So this is a local. And then there is a remote servers, API servers, RESTful API servers available all around the world. That is the future technologies everywhere. I built that RESTful API server in our department. So that's what we are working on. Data needs to be populated on this server. I want you to do that manually. But in many cases, in real application, those data can be, for example, if that is booking.coms or hotels.coms, then guest register, reserve the hotel rooms individually from all over the world. So we can access that booking.coms to download periodically into our database. Then that is our API server. And from our API server, we can also serve data to each individual smartphones. But anyway, I wanted to get involved in this building the size of the API servers. I think one of the homework assignments is requested, right? So you can post your sensor data, although that is manual and fake data, fine. Image data, that is photos, right? Image data posting is a little bit dangerous to the servers. So I try to prevent from any illegal postings. Checking the types. If there is any malicious code to be posted, and if that code runs on my server, then that is a real digital attack, right? Cyber attack. That's what we want to protect. But anyway, so your cell phone needs to request previous homework assignments for user credential data that can be solved from remote server. Then there is the HTTP servers request. That's what we learned last week. And the data can be responded from the remote server in JSON. So your Swift code needs to handle JSON data. In most cases, I gave you and posted the code. Two things that I posted from different PHP files, so you can have different PHP example API servers here. So you will receive different sets of data. And also you can, there's one thing, right? The other one is, the other code that I posted is the image data. How we can the display image data from the remote servers. So that is a UI, the image graphic components available. So there's another extension, the small code segment posted. You simply take that into and attach that on your code. So embedded, so separate extension class stays with your main class code. So these are the address that we need to use. So one of these that I already had here, then there's a sensor to sender retrieve. So I can get the list of senders. Okay. So for example, Jonathan Wise posted 5 sensor data there, right? And another thing that we may use here is a sensor to image sender retrieve. So this can gives you the list of the senders who posted the images. For example, Jonathan or Wise, from this IP address, we can catch that IP address, right? And how many? 5 images. John Yoon have 26 images. When the HTTP request comes in your server, this is for a cybersecurity issue, we can get the IP address, right? For the purpose of cybersecurity. Although we didn't ask you to do, but that is internal things. Not only that, when you access some website, if website managers or developers are good aware of cybersecurity issues, then they can capture all kinds of data from user. Although you simply click one thing, but at the server side, because everything can be flying together. If you are anyone already know about network protocols, then and also network packets. So each package, if you open it, depending upon the protocols, it contains multiple of metadata. So metadata. So it's about your client, and about client means all the network information, and also your laptop's MAC address, and so on and so forth. They can be packed together with your payload data. It could be HTTP request or something else, right? Or it could be your banking login ID and password. Well, everything can be captured. But those should be, if it is not metadata. Metadata is not really encrypted, but payload data usually encrypted. So although you type your login name and password, even if we unpack the packets, network packets, we may not read it. Sometimes we can read it, but not all the times. That is for cybersecurity. Okay, so when you receive data, then we need to display it. Two ways that you can display. UI table view, so you can display it on table, or collection view, then on the collection within a small box. For any of this, either table view or collection view, then each element in that table or each element on that collection, we need to define the cells. So how each cell, each element in the table can be constructed. That's separate class. Separate class, but it could be two classes can stay in the same file, or this cell class may be defined in a separate different file. That's fine, right? So this is the cell definitions, and this is the entire table definition or collection definitions. So table view looks like this. You have a list of, so this is each cell. Each cell needs to be defined. For example, last name, first name, and number of sensor data and things like that. Same thing here, this the table views. So on this table view cells, it has different structures. Sensor and models and sensor data, and then a value, sensor data. This is the value, right? However, here, within purple, this is a collection view. So we have a collection view. If you see the collection view cell, then you can imagine that on top there will be image, and then in the bottom, I believe that is the file name of these images. So this is a table view. Table views needs to be defined. See here that I collected this entire, there's a table view, and this is a cell. Inside that is a cell. So table view itself, if you see here, if you click this, this is one of the inspector, attribute inspector, then not much that you guys need to change. But anyway, this is utility pane from your Xcode. Another thing is, for that table view, for this entire table view, you have to define table view cell. Okay, when you define table view cell, because this is table view cell needs to be used by the code which sits behind this table view. See here, each of this view, remember that this is the view, UI view. This UI view is simply display, right? There's no logic. So logic sits behind. There is a code. There's a class that sits behind this. That code knows this entire table view, but this entire table view lists a number of elements. Each element is defined by table view cell. It could be in separate table, separate file. So how can your code catch this cell itself? To do that, see here, this is a class name, TV cell. But if you click next, I guess, oh, it's not showing. Right, another, if you see here, then we'll get to that, right? But anyway, this is a TV cell. And then this is a collection view. Collection view is hold on.
Hey, John, how are you?
So here we have there's a collection view cell. Collection view cells. Okay. Well, entire this is a collection view. The utility paying for this collection view here, you need to modify. You need to manipulate that a little bit. How you can scroll it? It could be horizontally or vertically. So on this case, we have here horizontal, right? Another thing that you need to do here, cell size of cell needs to be defined, and this is a given, right? The estimate size you need to fix 120 and 120. Therefore, that box needs to be uniformly displayed, and then here minimum space between box, you may define this, maybe 10 and 10, and section insets, top and bottom, you may also define, and left to right. So those 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 needs to be defined. And if you see collection view cell, this is collection view cell, then you have here the class inspector, then class name here, and then if you click attribute inspector, then there is identifier. You have to put their ID. That ID needs to be used by the code segment which sits behind collection view. Collection view cell has only definition about the elements. Okay? Collection view has the logic. So cell file, view cell file needs to be identified by this identifier. That's what I was trying to say here, but it is not missing. It is missing. If you click this attribute inspector, then there you can not only, this is a class name about this cell, but that should be identified by the code sits behind the table view. Therefore, we need the identifier of this cell, like this. All right. So based on the table sets and collection view cells, we need to display it. How we can display? Now you may be able to see here. If there is a table view, this is a table view cell definition. Here within purple, there's a table view cell definition. This is a part of the code of table view. Code for table view. This is a code for table view cell. The name of the class for table view is here, list sensor user VC. This is the entire. So in this case, the code for table view cell is embedded within table view code. This is embedded case. But anyway, embedded, or in this case, there's a separate files. In any case, anyway, on your code, you have to define, hey, there's a table view dot DQ reusable cell. I want to use that this particular cell definition. That cell class file can be identified by cell users. This cell user, if that is defined by you, then if you click here on this table view cell, then you can see the identifier. That should be matched with this, and this is a file. Here, TB cell. And then this is another example using collection views, cell, logics, code defined as a separate file, but within the same project. This CV cell identified by this ID, and this is a file name. So the idea remains the same, right? Either table view list a number of elements based on table view cell, and collection view also list number of elements within box based on collection view cell. That's a display. Then another thing that we have to think there, if you list it, then you may think of, hey, I want to choose one of those elements. Therefore, I may be able to see even detailed information. That is a navigation, because by clicking one of the elements, it can navigate to another view which may display detailed information. For example, if you have a train schedules, then 10 o'clock train time, 10:30 another train, and the list of those train schedules. If you click one train schedule, then you can see details. Maybe well, what are the train stations that train stops at what time, and what is the track numbers, and all those things. Detailed information may be there, right? If that is the table view to list, let's say collection view to list number of news. So we have news within the box. So it can show the thumbnail of that news, and then the bottom maybe broadcasting company. So you can scroll maybe horizontally, and if you choose one news that you are interested in, then click on that particular collection. Then it can go to, it can navigate to the next detailed view, right? So navigation is needed from table view or from collection view. VC here means there's an only acronym that I entered, that I added. It's not really, could be file name, okay? So how can we navigate? Within this table view and collection view, it provides you a number of methods. A few of those methods are required. So once you declare, say, hey, this is a subclass of a specific class, and if that class is something about table view, UI table view, or UI collection view, then it asks you to include, to implement that, because that is mandatory, right? So those are mandatory methods. Usually it has parameters, a number of rows in section, or cell for row at. This is not method name. This is one of the parameter variables. You can see this variable, the parameters. Another thing that you may be interested in is did select row at. Not all table view, not all collection view needs to navigate for the detailed the information, right? Only if you allow. The way that you can allow is if you define another method which has the attribute, which has the parameter did select row at. So if you click one of those lists, then by clicking it, your Xcode understands which ones clicked. That's what it means. Did you select row at? Which row that you select? So from there, you can continue to code. Two ways of navigating. So you can navigate over table views or collection views, and any of those, when your code navigate to next view, two ways that you could do. One, you can use a segue. You can use a segue. Or the other, then you can do it within your code, within your table view, within your collection view. There is a did select row at parameter. Same thing here. Did select item at. These parameters. Then it keeps which item is clicked, which is shown in this parameter index path. So we use it. So when you see the destinations, using if you want to navigate based upon the view itself, particularly the view, method with the parameter did select row at, then you need to have the new view controller. There's a view controller, and this is a file name of that view controller. That needs to be initialized. So initiate view controller with this identifier, view controller. If that is from table view, same thing. From the collection view, same thing here. Initiate the view controller and with identifier. In this case, with the identifier, this is ID and this is file name. ID and file name should be the same in this case, which is not the case here. For example, this is identifier and this is a file name. Not the same, right? But in this case, the data is the same. If, on the other hand, if you're using a segue, then using segue, then you can define the destination because the segue when you link from one view to another view, therefore explicitly segue is established, right? So you can say that segue destination is, this is the file name of that destination. This is another case. See here, this is an example of that initiate view controller with the identifier. This is file name and this is also file name. Class name is this, but you should say storyboard ID, same as that. That's what I'm saying here. When you do instantiate the view controller, the ID of that name and file name should be the same. How can you do it? On your Xcode, the code of this, the class sits behind this view. If that class name is this, then ID should be that. Therefore, you don't have to do segue, but jump to, there is no segue, right? In this case, there is a segue. From here, there, then you use a segue. From here, there, you don't use a segue, right? You simply instantiate. For this class, with the ID, storyboard ID. If there is a segue connection, then you need to do here segue, so that there is a segue ID. Okay. And from here, if you see that particular cell, then from that cell, there is a segue is connected from this cell to next view. That is defined like this. You can see this, the connection information if you click in utility pane here. If you click this, then you can see all those information. You can unclick it, then that connection disappeared. But code still, in your code, the coding list, that's particular, that specific statements still exist, right? It doesn't, even if you unclick this particular connection, if you do not explicitly remove the statement in your code still keep it. It doesn't affect, but still it remains there. On the other hand, even if you have the code statements there, if you do not have this here, it is not effective. So you need to make sure that, whatever you have a connection, that should be available there. This is the embedded case. Remember that I had this is the embed in this. This is a cell class. This is, let's say this is a table view cell class. This is a table view class. Table view delegates, table view data source. So this is the main table view class that contains this. If it is a separate files, then you have here there is a TV cell, separate files. If it is a separate files, then there is a class separate this identifier. Yeah, this TV cell this is the TV cell, this is ID, right? TV cell ID, that is the TV cell ID. But class itself here, if you click this, then there is a uppercase TV cell. That is this cell itself, but that's defined as a separate files. Okay, this is the last slide for today. This doesn't, if you do not set this, then your app cannot download the data. So this is very, very important. On your info.plist, if you click that, and then there is info.plist, the key, you have to add this app transport security settings. Underneath there is another sub menu called allow arbitrary loads, and then to this variable you have to set to yes. Otherwise, your app does not download. Okay, you have to set this on this info plist. Okay. So what I will do, I think this is the file that we stopped multiple weeks ago. So I'm going to restart this. Someone submit only this, then I cannot run it because all other files are missing. So please, you have to compress entire project. This is a project name entire. Okay. So what I am going to do, I am going to maybe one button there, and I would say display. Display JSON data. If you want to do background, custom, radius, I would say 270 radius, and then fill, I want to make it pink, and then you can make, oops, this is a right circle. If you see the number 120, oops, it's not. Oh, it's 130. Something like this. And then foreground. title plain style. That's fine. Yeah. Regular, bold. Oops. Heavy. Size. It's fine. You can play with this. But anyway, I want to make this a little bigger. Or here. Maybe 18. Display JSON. This is better. All right, and it's not affected. Why? But anyway, okay, with that, and then we need to, I want to make this libraries stay by holding down Option button and click this plus, then it'll stay there. First thing that I need to do is I need to do view controller. View controller needs to be putting up here. Make this bigger. Okay. And there, label, I want to put here, and then I would say list all sensor data. And then table view, bring the table view here. And then this table view cell needs to be brought here. We can make it a little bigger. In this table view cell, label, you can say first name and another label there. Maybe there. And then you can do this, maybe last name. And number of postings. Okay. So this is cell. I don't want to close this. If you want to see it, if this is a real cell, then make this a little wider. Okay. Then this is table view. This is collector, right? Table view. Table view cell. This is a table view cell. There's a table view cell. There's no class. And even this table view itself, there's no class. Class is not yet defined. We are working on the view only right now, right? Table and table view cell. There's no class, and then there is no identifier yet. We need to work on that. And this guy needs to be opened if we link this from this button to this view, right? In order to connect that, in order to create a segue, holding down Control button on your keyboard and drag and drop to here, and then you need to choose Show. Then there is a segue. This segue needs to be also identifier, so that you have a segue. Let's say list sensors. Okay. Now we need to create the class definition codings sits behind this view, right? To do that, you have to come here, File, New, and then File, and Swift files, where it should exist. Here, there is a project name and file name. I would say there's a list sensor list sense data. You name it. Create. Then that is a list of sensor data. Import. You need to bring UI kit. When you as you work on this Xcode, then you may be able to see clearly how you need to define this. But if you do not know, then you can see here split. Create one more editor and bring another, and you can copy it, right? But let's try to do how we can do. Class name should be the name of this that we already created. So list sense data. I think I need to do here VC, view controller. so that I can say here that is a VC. Okay, that is the subclass of UI view controller. If there is a UI view controller, then usually there is a method view did load. View did load. That method here, there's an M for method. That should be defined. So if you click this, then very nicely override function view did load. Here the code, then you can say super view did load. Super.view did load. If you see other, for example, here, view controller, initially what it does here, view controller, this is a view controller, given view controller, it has an override func view did load. That's what we did here. Super.view did load, right? We could do even further here, as we wish, right? Okay, now I want to make here the storyboard. So in this storyboard, if we click this, so I want to make sure this is the view, this is the code that sits behind this. They need to link together, right? So by click this, and if you come here, class inspector, then there's a class name. If you click this, see if there is a list sense data VC. That is there, right? So if you click this, then that comes up here. So now they know this guy is this, right? So up to this point, if you want to see it, then you can see. Right. So if you click this, then goes to here, list all sensor data. That's what we had here. There's no nothing right now, right? So far so good. All right. Now we need to make sure that this code has also a class called class table view list sense cell, that is UI table view cell class. So about this cell definition, the logic behind this cell, it could be defined as a file, or it can be embedded here. So I'm trying to do here embed. Okay, so that is embed. This embed, this the cell cell should be also here class. So what class is it? So if you see here, then TV list sense cell very nicely. That guy already understands it, right? And this cell needs to be in the code identified. So if you click this, then there is identifier. So we can say TV cell for sense cell, TV sense cell. So enter this. As you enter this identifier, then this file name on this organizer automatically says TV sense cell. It modified, take this name there. So this is okay. So for this file itself, for this file, this is table view. Table view needs to be connected to the anything that you want to work on this view. That should be first connected to the code. After that, you can continue to code. Okay, so control, and here that it understands. So that is a UI table view, right? So you can say TV table view list users. There's a table view. So that is there. And at the same time, you guys need to do UI table view delegates. Table view delegates, and also UI table view source. Table view source. Once you have this, then this guy asks you to because a few of the methods are mandatory, it should be defined. So you can say here fix, then automatically two methods are created. One with number of rows in section. Remember that my slide. In order to display this, you need to have a method with the parameter number of row in section, and also cell for row in section. Those two methods needs to be defined. So I want to push that in the bottom of this code. Here the code, I think here number of row in section, then we can say return how many rows. If we want to display one row in one view, entire view one row only, then you need to say one. But if you want to say whatever the returned from remote server, whatever the JSON data has, if you want to save it, then you need to say you need to first define JSON data. JSON data needs to be stored here. We simply say variable my SQL result equals in this format of JSON string star string. What that means here, and also here we here JSON data send you, if you see here JSON data send you entire list. This is a one list, right? Here, square bracket. Within that list, you have also a number of pairs. Each pair has a string, colon, string. And string, colon, another string. Right? So that's what we are trying to say. This my SQL result is in this format. So when I return how many to be listed on each view, then you can say self means in this myself on top of the variables. My SQL result, because this gives me a list of an array. Array has a method called count, attribute called count. So count. So how many? As many as listed in this, as many as returned in this JSON data. That's what I want to say here, right? We don't need to specify in particular number, but we can say depending upon whatever returns, okay? And this is the way that we can display. But in order to display this, then we need, if you go to our web browser, there is a code. Yeah, this is the code. I want to copy this and come back here. I want to make here one last. And this, the URL is not that URL. URL needs to be get properly. So if you come back here, I believe this is right. This is, oops, this is it. What that means is that so who posted how many? That is this URL, right? This API address. I want to copy this and come back here. Instead of this, I want to get this. Okay. So this is a downloaded JSON. So actually what we need to do is this is download JSON needs to be called, right? Then download the JSON. When this guy can be called, when this button is clicked, then it, remember that here button, when the display JSON button is clicked, then you want to list it. It can be done in this view did load. So within the view did load, you can do, I would say, self download the JSON, and in this code you can do simply self and what you want to do here is this on this table. So you need to display that table, right? TB list user. That table view needs to be reloaded. Reload the data. How this table view can be reloaded? It can be reloaded. How many? These many. In what order? Here you need to say for each row you need to define in what way that you can do, right? So first thing that you need to do here is you need to first define that particular TV user cell that comes from table view here, table view dot and DQ cell with DQ cell, DQ reusable cell with identifier and then 4. That second method. Choose it. And that identifier, what's that identifier? This cell, yeah, we got already here, TV sense cell. So that should be TV sense cell, TV cell, index path, we simply say index path, right? And then TBU cell, there you need to display, but we didn't define yet how it is, how this cell is defined, right? We already make the graphical components on this, the view definition only, but we didn't yet connect each one of these the way that we want to display onto this cell code. So you need to do here first this label. If you cannot get this very clearly, then you can get that from here also. So label here, then you can say that is first name. You can say first, and then next label. Click this, then you make sure that is highlight the clicked here on this view. Control. Come back here. You can say last, and then finally this label. I want to come back here. And then amount or count, CNT. All right. Missing return. So actually at the end we have to return TBU cell. That should be returned. This code we need to populate the data, right? So we can say TBU cell, then we may be able to see TBU cell. Oh, by the way, I have to say here, as exclamation and that particular class name. Class name is TV list cell. I wanna copy this, and all the way here, I wanna say this. Then I may be able to see TBU cell dot. Then I can see, hey, that is a first name. On this first name, I want to display it into that text. I want to get self MySQL SQL list. In that list, I want to get my first name is F name, right? So back here, there. So which items that's index particular current row index. There's a cell for row at this index. So we can say index path row dot row, and which attribute in that row. There are many other attributes available, but I want to get first because it says first. No, not first name. Oh, is it first name? Oh yeah, first name. So you can say, oh, is it F name? This is not uppercase N, but lowercase I. Index path, because I already said here, this is index path. Okay. And similarly, I want to display not only first name, but last name and count. Not the first. You can say here last and CNT, right? So you can see last, and then ID is a use ID. So not this, use ID. This is not first, but you can say CNT. What is the name of that? It says count open and close asterisk. Open star, close. All right. And then one thing that you need to make sure, you have to say here, this TV list users, you need to put here delegates. Delegate should be self, and TV list users dot data source, it should be self. Okay. Let's try to see how it works. So when I click this, oh, you know why? Because I didn't do here info. I want to close this. Well, let's do this. Here, okay. I get if it's a plus sign, let's try to see if, oh yeah, plus sign, you can add it, and then you need to find out, you simply type app, and then there is app transport security setting that you can find here. There's a security setting. So under this information property list, we have two items. But this item newly added. If you let's see, could do this. Then you can add more. But if you do plus sign, plus sign is what? Delete that. So here, oh, you have to do this. Okay, allow arbitrary loads, fine. So collect that. Currently that is, default is no, so you have to say yes. Okay, change that and rebuild. And display JSON. Oh, very nice. However, only first name, there's no, so we need to make this wider, right? So here, this is, yeah, table views. So we need to have another method. I believe that is called, I think, height. So simply say height, table view height for low at, I think this is it. And then you can simply say here 150 and rebuild. Click display JSON. Oh, very nicely. It's too wide. So if you reduce, for example, 120, I think that'll be nicer. Yeah. So if you click this vertically, then finally here, John Yoon has 5 images. I mean 5 data, right? Jonathan has 5. But even if I click this, it doesn't go further, right? Of course, because we didn't do anything. So here, once you have this, then you can do, for example, another view controller. View controller, bring that here, and you can do like this. All right. Then you can also make label items posted by, you can say like this, and another label posted by whom, right? So this by is left to identified, and then you can put here, for example, collection view. If you bring this collection view, then as you can see here, this collection view has already collection view cell. This is a collection view cell. This see here, this is a collection view cell. Outside, there is a collection view, and then we can do even further here, table view table view can bring up here. This is same, similar to the ones that we looked at already, right? So what I'm trying to do here, when this is clicked, then it goes to here and display, right? So this using segue. So I am going to do, if you click this, then there is a cell. From this cell to next to here, then there is a segue. So you can say show. If you click this, then it goes to next, right? So that much we figure out and go to that. If you click any of this, then goes to imported, posted by label. We do not know who that person is, right? Yet. So we need to work on that. To do that, what I am going to do, I am going to only link from here to there, therefore which ones clicked, so display that name. And then the remain goes to next week, okay? So, yeah, we need to define file. Let's say this file name sensor and images together. Sensors images together. Okay. So like we did here, UI kit and class sensors UI view controller, open and close. Okay, let's see. Oh, this guy goes up here. This needs to be here. All right. Same thing here, view did load. So view did load, and then super view did load. And then click this. Here the main. What we have here, this guy, we need to link connected this view and that code. So come back here, class inspector, sensors images together. So that is connected now. And yeah, we need to then to see if this is already available. control. Yeah, here we can say name. Could not insert new outlets. What? Control. Connect. Could not insert new outlets. Connections could not find any information for the class named sensors images together. Sensors images together. Sensors images together. That is this guy. Right? If you click this main, and we can say this is the sensors images together. This label. So first and last, and connect. What happened? I've never had these issues before. Okay, I wanna stop and close and reopen it. Main storyboard had an issue that found required. This may be due to the SCM operations such as merging. Close this. And then, okay. That's disappeared. And when I do this, first and last, and connect. Okay, so that is connected. All right, and here I want to bring up the previous methods. And then I want to do, when one is selected, then what should we do? That's what we want to do, right? So first thing that we need to do is, there are two things that we could do. You can do, for example, did select row at, you can bring this method to do that. There's the first option. Next option is to use the segue, but we already set the segue. So we need to do prepare for sender method. And here the code that we need to do, say let sender sensor and image for particular user, right? together, and that comes from segue dot destination. That is, we can say that goes to this sensors image together, right? So we can say sensors image together. And then sense image 2 dot send image 2. I think in this time, because this guy needs to pick. Oh, in order to do that, you know what? I need to say here variable name equals. I need to do that first, and then that name should be. You can say. I'll just say first, and then variable last. We need to send it to both the variables, and then this first and last into that property, and then into that text. I want to put first plus last. What it does here is that I want to concatenate the first name and last name that I received from the previous click, and then in between one space. So for these variables, I can see here send image 2 dot into that first. I want to get this guy has if it is selected, then I would say self dot my SQL result, and then which one that I chose. The way that I chose here is TV list users dot index path for selected row dot row into that row, and I want to choose user ID. I think there should be F name. Similarly, because I want to send the first name to first and second last name to last. This guy says index path must be index path. So I need to do here question mark optional. Insert this. Another one here, it should be string. So this entire this should be, I would say, string. Entire from there to all the way here. That should be string. I'm gonna do another exclamation mark. Okay, so nicely that is fixed. So what we need to do is the next one is send image to dot last. Last name should be very similar to this, but for the last. So I would say this should be username, user ID. Then I think it should be displayed there. So click this. When I click this, and for example, my name John Yoon. Here John Yoon comes up here, right? So I need to fix that a little bit. Should be wide. So Jonathan Weiss. Here imports posted by Jonathan Weiss. And then we bring up collection view and the detailed sensor data posted by Jonathan Weiss. That's next time. All right. Thank you very much. See you later.